Don't miss the brand new game from FFG that everybody's going to be talking about. They're taking the miniatures tabletop world by storm once again.
Spiky bits.
What's up, hobby maniacs? Rob Baer here again with you today, taking a look at a very cool new forward-thinking game by Fantasy Flight Games called Runewars. Now, we have been seeing previews on this ever since Gen Con last year, and finally it's in our hands. We got one of these in the VIG bag at Adepticon this year. I was very keen on checking it out. Now I hear it's releasing very soon in April from FFG, and they have tons of plans for new upgrade units, stuff like musicians and captains and all sorts of things that they've been previewing. Plus, word on the street is we might be seeing there's 2 races in this box. Now, I think we all know that, hey, that seems kind of silly. There should be more races. Well, I would imagine that we will see some of those. I mean, everybody's got to have something to talk about at Gen Con, right? Who knows? I don't know. But if I was a betting man, I would say that is going to be the case. So here's the box right here. It's a ginormous, very large, oversized box. I've already half opened it because we all know how FFG's boxes are. They are airtight, and even light cannot escape their vortex. But here's the contents of exactly what comes in here. Now, I said it was a very forward-thinking game. You can see here they are painted miniatures. These are made to paint, but they come pre-assembled. Well, almost pre-assembled. It's more like push fit. Gray, just like the Imperial Assault game. Here's the game contents. You get 48 unpainted plastic figures, 2 character dioramas, 16 movement trays, movement templates, command tools, tokens, unit cards, dials, all sorts of different stuff. But the things you need to know is it comes with unit cards, which is extremely helpful on the tabletop in order to see what your miniatures do. They come with maneuver templates, which helps reduce the frustration from wheeling and moving blocked formations that we saw in Warhammer Fantasy. They come with upgrade cards, war gear cards, energy tokens, dice, all sorts of different things to make the game very interesting and, of course, put FFG spin on it. And they even come with command dials, very, very similar to what we've seen in X-Wing, except for a little bit more complexity. Okay, and then here's the back cover, and the back cover is actually the good guys' depiction of what's going on right here, and they've actually created their own universe for all this stuff, and I won't even pretend I don't know half as much of stuff that I should here. Here's the bad guys being the good guys on the cover, but I am very excited about this game, just reading through the Quickstart guide, which there is a Quickstart guide, love it. So first off, you're going to open this up, you're going to see that there is a learn to play guide, there is a rules reference guide, and there is a lore guide. So building up the universe right here, that makes sense. Rules reference, very similar to what we saw in X-Wing and also Armada. So that you don't need right off the bat. You need to learn to play, and it walks you through what everything is. Here's all the miniatures ranked up in their specific style, and what's really cool about this too is that they all go together. Remember the old fantasy days where you had to rank up your miniatures? Well, they're actually designed to rank up already as long as you put them in there. They run you through a demo game using all of the tools, everything you need right here. Now, sure, there isn't some advanced stuff, but hey, there wasn't in Armada, and that game seemed to do okay. And then it goes into more and more stuff on all of that. Assembly instructions in the back, and pretty much everything you just need for a quick start guide. Talking about terrain, talking about different things because you can actually embark upon terrain. And there it is, the painted miniature section to get your hobby juices going. So great little kickstart, learn to play guide right there. I'm still learning all this stuff. I know this is a range ruler. I know these are the action and movement dial. Oh gosh, it's already starting to come apart. I was trying to keep it together. So action and movement dials. Now, a lot of these tokens are used for morale. They're used for energy. Stuff like these, or where are they? They're not on this one, but you got your Boon and Bane tokens right here. These are your command dials. They go together with the little clasps, as you would expect. And then it's almost like a dual command dial type thing right here. There's dice in here, which are your attack and reroll dice. Let's see what else is here. So here's the front cover to that. And these have actually a little peg. So you set your commands for each individual unit, and you set the command dial down next to the unit, just like in X-Wing. You set your command dial, you put it down, face down, but now you're standing it up because it's right next to the unit. And here's some of the terrain and such, the backs to those covers, and your deployment zones right there. Very cool stuff. And then it gets into trying to set these down very gently so they don't come apart on me prematurely. And there's your maneuver dials, like if you just want to wheel, if you just want to go marching and things, which are all explained on the Quickstart rules. And that's it. Very gently put this down. I had to unshrink wrap it to show you guys. And again, the range ruler as well. Now let's zoom in on what comes in the box itself. Now, if you see this, you're like, oh, where's the miniatures? The miniatures are actually hiding right here. So don't get it twisted in case you do buy the box and start freaking out. That would be just silly. So let's zoom in on some of the stuff that comes in here. So first off, before we get to the miniatures, you do get a catalog because FFG loves to promote their other games, and why shouldn't they? Then you get a ton of these unit dial. Now these are for the little dioramas, but you'll notice that they lock together, which is pretty neat. Okay, so those lock together. Then you've got the bigger ones for, like, say, the cavalry and stuff right here. And again, these lock together. So you can field squads of 6, you can field squads of 4, and they all lock together like this. And they show you this in the example game, which is really neat. You're like, hey, that's like Warhammer Fantasy. It sure is. Literally is. So you've got a bunch of those. That's really neat. Then you've got all sorts of your cards. And the cards are really interesting. Dice, cards, and I think that's the majority of the stuff. Oh, and the cavalry bases. Again, just 2 spots right there along the same lines as that. So when it comes to cards, there's a bunch of different cards. There's morale cards, there's upgrade cards, just like in X-Wing. You can take upgrades for all your stuff. There's 2 different types. Here you can see what they are. There's your upgrade cards, there's your morale cards. And events and things can happen throughout the game that you're going to have to check for. But we're not going to get into that because this isn't a quick start how to play. This is just kind of like a quickie first look. Here's your dice. These are the little, what do you want to call them? Stands. We'll say stands. Very similar to what we've seen in other FFG games. They reuse a lot of their tokens, and why shouldn't they? This is what you put your command dials into, that little set of dual dials that you put next to your units. And then you've got your dice. You got 6 attack dice, 2 red, 2 blue, and 2 white in here. And all the little clasps to put them together, or to put the cards together. Now, let's talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. I've been screaming for it from Games Workshop for many, many years. And of course, we're going to make a lot of Games Workshop references because, let's face it, Games Workshop is the 800-pound gorilla. Even though X-Wing's taken a noticeable cut into them, they are still the 800-pound gorilla in the miniatures market. So there will be a lot of comparisons to them, and I don't think that's an unfair thing to do, comparing FFG's new miniature game to Games Workshop. But I want to talk about game aids. Game aids are a thing. Like, nobody wants to tote around all their books. To play Warcon right now at Adepticon, Juice had to tote around 11 different books. 11 different books to play that game. That's stupid. Like, why are you going to have to tote around that many books? Just get the stuff on a document, get it on a PDF, get it on your phone, or you can have game aids like this, like unit cards, just like Privateer Press does. These are literal unit cards for each of the units in the game. And look, they even show you, this is the thing I like the most, they show you how much it costs to field these, the formation to field them, the available upgrades for which ones you take. And you'll notice here, this isn't an apples to apples, like, hey, if you take 1, it costs this. If you take 2, it costs 36. No, if you take 6, it costs 40. What? How does that math even work? It's stepped. It's stepped. And that's really cool to see. And obviously, the more you take, the more upgrades are available to you. And you can literally have these out next to your stuff. Hey, look, not only does it tell me how I field it, but it tells me my abilities in game. It tells me what my actions can be. And remember, you have to, well, we haven't got into it, but you have to kind of pair those up with your command dials on how all that works. And we'll get into that probably later when we do a how to play kind of video. This is awesome. I can have this on the table next to me. I don't have to like flip through 11 books to see what the heck I'm doing. This is awesome. Thank you, FFG. Now, also, quick reference cards as well. Hey, check it out. Actions. This explains all the actions on your dial. Well, on one side of the dial. Boons and Banes. This explains all the tokens and things that are going to be on the table. Okay, that's pretty neat. Dice Icons explains what the heck you're rolling. I don't know what this stuff does, but I'll learn it really quick, and then I'll never have to look at this again, but it's really cool to have it for at least the first game. And your modifiers, okay? So modifiers and actions are two big things that you set on your command dial. And this is very important to have. And not only this, but you have to match up the colors too as you go. And more on that when we do the how to play. Now, something else that's really neat is not this. This is your terrain. It explains like how terrain works. This is basically your game aids for terrain. We're not going to get into that. But this is the cool part. When you're selecting a mission, which one to play, you basically go like this. You're like, okay, cool. What are we playing? All right, we're playing that mission. And here's the deployment. You've actually got cards for that. That is so neat. Like, you don't roll dice, you don't do choosing. And then look at this. They tell you how to set up the deployment zone. 4 over, or 4 up, 5 over. And remember, if you're familiar with Armada, you know what that means. Boom, you get out your stick. 4 over, 5 up. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I mean, this is so awesome. This is forward thinking. Like, I love seeing this. I love seeing stuff that just makes sense, and you don't spend. I don't want to spend a bunch of time painting miniatures. I don't want to spend a bunch of time setting on my game. I just want to have fun playing my game, and I love this. This is so awesome. Like, I am so stoked for this right here. Now, you're like, okay, well, that's cool. You got me sold. I like where you're going with this. I like this forward thinking, but let's talk about miniatures. So let's get to that right now. So now it's time to take a look at the figures. And I'll be honest, if you're expecting some sort of crazy multi-part convertible type deal like Games Workshop, you're gonna be a little disappointed. But that being said, there's some very interesting dynamics to the miniatures themselves. Like, this is one of the character models for the game. It comes on its own diorama, which, you know, slots in. All of this is push fit, completely push fit. Slots in to the movement tray, right? And you can switch them out. You know, you basically pull them off the base. You can switch out bases. You can paint these up any way you want. Now, the miniatures themselves are that gray plastic that is unpainted. It's very similar to what they use in Imperial Assault. It helps them get products out the door, which is a blessing because, let's face it, we know sometimes there's some delays with FFG stuff. All of it is push fit. It is a little fiddly. You have to be careful with it. You don't have to hobby on it. You can play it as is, or you can hobby on it. You can paint it. Obviously, painted miniatures play better. I think we all know that. So this is one type of them. And then you've got the individual units that come on the the movement trays right here, right? Each little dude comes in, each bag comes with 2 guys. Now, these aren't the specific ones that rank up in here. They have a specific way they rank up, but you can basically see how it works. So when you open up a bag, you know that, hey, these guys go on separate bases. And then here is your basic skeleton archer. Now, the little arms pop out and they pop in. It is fiddly. It takes a bit of working to get it to look just right. But this is an entry-level kind of thing. This is a board game. This is going to be sold in a lot of places besides gaming stores. So the option to always find, or the potential to always find a game of Runewars is probably pretty high because this game is going to be available in a lot of places. And of course, they have their big baddies. Look at this guy. It's like some sort of undead dude on a carrion worm. And again, this is very similar to what we saw in Star Wars Imperial Assault. You know, it's a multi-part kit. It's pretty much dummy-proof. It slots together a certain way. There's notches on both the slots and the hole. So when you assemble it, it goes together a certain way. There it is. And it's multi-part, yes, but it's not convertible. It is a little fiddly. I mean, you can see the spear kind of bends right there. It's not, you know, something that we might be okay with as Games Workshop players. But, you know, once you get around that and you realize that, hey, this is just basically like X-Wing or like Armada or like Imperial Assault, but it uses mechanics that we are familiar with from, you know, maybe some of the tabletop games that weren't Fantasy Flight, and a lot of the tabletop games that are Fantasy Flight, from like X-Wing to Armada to even Imperial Assault. You're going to see a lot of familiar elements here. Just skimming through the rules, I'm very stoked to get my first demo game in. I'm very stoked to start hobbying on these models, as I can't wait because I know there's more coming, and I know there's going to be organized play, and if that's one thing that FFG does right, it is organized play. So I am very hopeful that going forward, we're going to see a lot more and we're going to see this game shine. Because I'll be honest, I was the first person when X-Wing came out to say $15 for a ship, that's stupid. Nobody's going to buy that. 6 years later, I'm like, still buying 11 waves of X-Wing miniatures and now looking to get into this game myself. So I've been wrong before, but I don't want to be wrong this time. I want to go all in on new FFG Runewars.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.